Genshin is a game that earns money from selling characters. And when we already have in the game characters that can be spent alone. Individually in a game that goes from teams of 4 characters, all the content. Like for example Novilet, or characters so strong that also being only 4 stars being able to acquire free, and these they can quietly solve all of the game's endgame content. What solution is left to a game that is based on? And that's the big problem NATLAN has and what Hoyoverse is doing. So leave a good like, a good Bennett ulti, subscribe, leave a good comment for the algorithm. Thanks for enjoying, watching the video and the channel, helps a lot, costs us nothing. Helps the wild algorithm grow the video and channel. So leave there the good like and the bell, subscribe and comment for the algorithm. See you in the directs below in the description, and go with the Powercreep. And the total gold change that's going to be in NATLAN. Well, this is very interesting because pretty much being in the first version of NATLAN, the 5, we can already outline how the strategy that will bring us Hoyoverse. We will also start in the video with things that will be understood to be quite clear that they are Mualani, Kinich, and the structure and composition of his teams, because again, already in 5 you can very clearly intuit the strategy. Well, let's start with Kinich, who just left and has 2 very good teams. They're basically 2 teams that practically represent their best condition. They're the Kinich Kamadura. That also the best in slot of this team is Kinich, Emily, Xiangling, and Bennett. Kinich is new. Emilie has come in the latest version of Fontaine before NATLAN. The 4.8 does nothing, and is in theory new character and set. Note that there is a Pyro Archon missing that will make the place of Xiangling. Every day we are closer to Mavuika being confirmed. Like Xiangling, 5 stars, or as some leakers have said, it's a little more for hype. I think Deya Pro Max Blight. They're saying out there that it can become Mavuika, a 5-star Xiangling because of Dihaya. You make her a better character is a 5-star Xiangling, and the only rescuable character on that first best team. NATLAN team slot would be Bennett, but Bennett has a close relationship with NATLAN. Let's go to Kinich's other team variant that tells us the story of what I want to explain in the video. It's the Kinich Crepitar. If we play a Kinich Shurina Xiangling Bennett, we currently have the best team in Kinich. But also that team is Kinich's best team and still has one thing to improve. And it is that Xiangling applies so much pyro that Furina does make reverse vaporized but does not apply in order to generate reactions. Of Crepita, it does not generate blooms. Some out there wild, but it is not the majority and it is not consistent. There, the damage comes more from Kinich himself with Bennett's booby and Furina's inverse vaporized. But it doesn't come from Crepitar, and that core could be optimized and improved by playing Crepitar. Ladies, gentlemen, instead of Xiangling fits a Mavuika, a Diha Pro Max fits a character like Xiangling. Apply a little less amount of pyro and allow everything to remain the same but also generate blooms so that there are Crepit in the field, and maybe Kinich wins even faster loads for his weapon, for the knight, and for the spleens. Wow! The 2 teams are teams as very late back in the versions. With Furina, who is a character of 4.2, i.e. a character that did not exist 2 years ago in Genshin Impact. Let's talk about Mualani now so you understand where I want to go and become even more interesting. Mualani. To this day, Mualani, it is clear that it is played vaporizing on burn, although there are teams of Mualani, Xiangling, Zhongli, and something else out there random, but the reality is that it is very noticeable that their core today is A. Not only that, but you already know the Shilonen kit. I have not talked about Shilonen before because Kinich doesn't work with Shilonen, but Mualani will, and Shilonen will be a very powerful character. A better Kazuha that will be very good for many old teams. I will now talk about Shilonen, but better still with teams. And Mualani have increased damage for every burst Noctamball load in this case. Only Mualani combines with Shilonen, and this gives us, for who is not so little too lost in Genshin, that Mualani in the mathematical formula of this told story. Of Genshin's evolution, that the team of Mualani best in slot is surely Mualani. Emily, who is Dendro's core for burns and is a recent character from 4.8. Mavuika, which is the Archon Tepiro of 5-3, will be that Xiangling 5 stars that allows us to make a very powerful burn. And then Vaporize with Mualani and finally Shilonen, that he will be a character on the Mualani team who can activate perfectly all buffos and also has rotation of 15 as well as Mualani as well as Emily that has lower rotation. Even 15, with which Perfect and Mavuika is an Archon, and let us remember that the last Archontes, mostly Furina and Nahida, have come with rotation of 15 or less seconds or adaptive to 18, 20, but also 15 to beat. Well, Mualani's team doesn't use anything old. You could play Nahida instead of Emily for the Master's Bufo, but since it's a burn core, it's very likely that Emily be best in slot, second best in slot Nahida. Also similar to Kinnick's team, and we have that Mualani has no old character really can get his best combination. Mualania's team and Leta's leave this for the memory, is going to be Mualani, Emily, Mavuika and Shilonen, and will be a perfect core of Vaporized with rotation of 15 with lots of energy. And that the team has a brutal synergy with each other. Wow. No old character are selling you just new characters, so that you throw away the new characters and fulfill what I told you at the beginning of the video. Let's talk about what will make us most excited in this video. Let's talk about Shilonen and Mavuika. Shilonen, as I said, will not only work with all NATLAN characters by passive activating 2 burst loads. Noctambulo Tat can interact with the Geo, i.e. Cryo, Electro, Pyro, and Hydro. Not with Kinnish. I'm sorry, Kinnish is powerful enough and is already the best carry within the game today starting. Cone. But the good thing is that here comes the best yet. How a good power creep is programmed and how Hoi oversows us. They're going to get us a character who doesn't just relive the Geo, which is the least played element without counting on the physique of the whole game, brings us a waifu as it is a waifus game, and cute Chinese, and brings us a character that I literally think, just like Kazuha, was always said to be the Archon Anemo, and even jokingly the Pyro Archon because I wear a lighter and always put on Pyro. They're going to start holding Shilonen the Archon Geo. Here, specifically in Shilonen, I don't want to extend much more because there is a video explaining the Shilonen kit. Here it is if you want to learn everything about the character. Explained more calmly, but the summary is that they have learned and they have said, okay, what character is the one who likes the most? What do? We improve. We get a better Kazuha Pro Max point, and yes, today is a better Kazuha, and its C2 is much better than Kazuha C2, and Tuchero, objectively, is better than Kazuha, because the elementary year bond gives it to you during 20 seconds and not for 8, and the low resistance gives it to you for 15 and not for 10 that many people keep saying no. But gather me together, and yes, good look at the abysses, so that you can see how many enemies can gather and cure, not that it is better. They're going to keep combining, and they're going to continue playing in teams surely between the two of them to the top 3 of the best characters in the feat game, or top 4. One is not going to remove the other, but today Shilonen, when it reaches the 5.1, will be better, and we definitely go. With this video and the final conclusion that it will be not only Mavuika, but what you clearly notice you will do in NATLAN. And the power creep so abysmal that it's gonna come and maybe apply in future versions, and I hope it doesn't become this recurring. That doesn't become monotony, but they must sell, and it's the Archonta Pyro. There's a video talking about the Archonta Pyro kit that is. Here on screen it's just called Mavuika, and I'm talking about a lot of deductions that may be within evolution of the game that its main source of damage will be its elementary skill, and not its ulti, as for example Furina with the ability Elemental Unlocking Q, and Ering with the ulti, as for example does Dihaya with Elemental, and now they call Dihaya Pro. Max has recently filtered the kit, and it turns out that almost not the kit matches, but an idea of a beta that may not be true. But it looks a lot like what I told you, and the summary is that yes, Mavuika would fit perfectly with an Aishingling 5 stars. If it is simply an Aishingling that applies a little less pyro, but enough to vaporize all the blows. has a precipice superior to that of A-Jungling, and in fact being a 5 stars and an Archonto Pyro, I have a very powerful C2 too. Doing 50% more damage than A-Jungling off the field would already have, like Celonen, a character that will break. All previous teams, i.e. the International Bar, Ayato Vapes of Tartara and Ayato, are going to see a gigantic buff. With Mavuika, all Raiden National Super Played team of the game, we'll see a buff with Mavuika, and will be played as Raiden. Yelan Mavuika Bennett, and in fact, a National Rider with 20 rotation because A-Jungling has 20 seconds of cooldown become a National Rider rotation of 18 because Raiden has 18 seconds of rotation. Yelan has 18, Mavuika will surely have 15, and Bennett 15, and will be a buff to another old team, the Overload equipment that was used A-Jungling previously. But mainly these were gonna see a buff, but Mavuika, as you can tell, is gonna be best in slot for the Mualani best team. In slot for Kinnich's team, and not only that, but it looks like the future carries that end up dating. NATLAN's, if they match Shalonen's core, is going to be, let's give an example that Chaska is carrying because, basically, Chaska, I think. That it was carry and Emo, or something that doesn't match, but if I were to imagine carry Cryo, or that Auron is carry Cryo for. To give an example, your best combination very probably if Auron is carry Cryo for setting an example. I repeat it again. I'm inventing it's going to be Auron Shilonen because he's making you up with Cryo and activating the Mavuika buffos to apply. Pyro to melt and surely an Emily or a Nahida, but mainly Emily by the burn, so you can make Melted over burn. I'm sure they'll bring in NATLAN a carry Cryo to play Melted over burn. And if you don't bring him the future best in slot of Ryodzli, that's why the Rurin of Ryodzli isn't coming. It's going to be Ryodzli, Emily, Mavuika, and Shilonen, because Shilonen will activate the buffos to the Pyro of Mavuika and the Cryo of Ryodzli, and out there in the middle. Emilia won't receive being inside Shilonen's buffos. But it doesn't matter basically. It's Mualani's same core, but instead of vaporizing you are melting and so on, if they come carry their best team, if they match Shilonen, will be Shilonen. Mavuika. If they come carries and their element doesn't match Shilonen, will be Mavuika, that carry and new characters, and if they come supports, or they can be very little like Sheesh Wine, like Deya, as stands that have come out that do not serve much either. Dedicated or has all the paint prepared Genshin community that if new supports come apart from Mavuika and Shilonen. At least before the release is over, it's going to be a support that's core on all the other teams forward, and they're going to bring Shilonen and Mavuika close team packs. They're sure to contribute to old things, but mostly as you can. Check out how to solve money. Learn something money how to solve this conflict. You need Hoyoverse to sell more is the one you are seeing close new teams, close new compositions put a power. Creep amazing, and if you just did Kinnich is the best carry Dendro and has stepped on all previous if Tignari in. His time was the best option of the permanent, and Alhaitham was not so bad because at Chero to minimum he had very good teams. Now forget anyone with Kinnich can totally dispense with both Tignari and Alhaitham and throw by. They only, if you want to play two teams with carry Dendro, is Lover of the Endro or ex-collector of Green Gentleman, but go. It's going to keep happening, and it's going to keep happening, and I think this time it's been a little more aggressive than it could ever be. So little more, leave me the comments you think, and if you're really seeing this evolution clearly, let me comments if you think that maybe in Sniznaya or Genshin 2, that is already official, and there are developers who have spoken in interviews about it and so on. This can become even more aggressive. We will see that it can happen and about. Everything I want to read what you think is good or bad for the community is a fact that it's a fact, today, but it may also have its good parts so that people do not get bored and still have new illusion. And compositions that try new characters or new equipment that can not only build but improve the old ones that I had so little more to leave a good, like a good ultimatum to subscribe, leave a good comment, so I thank.
Okay.